Hello world, welcome back to Mrs. Leefatt Teach. On today's episode, we are going to listen to a story called Emma by Cheryl Wills, illustrated by Sue Cornelison. Okay, here we go. To my great grandmother, Emma Westmore Wills, circa 1851 through 1901. Your home state of Tennessee forgot you. Even most of your family forgot you. But I will make sure the world remembers that you were here and you made an impact. Introduction. My great grandmother, Emma Wills' story was one of the lost stories of the Civil War era from 1861 through 1865 until I unearthed it. As near as I can tell, this story is true. I pieced it together from historical records about my family before and after the war in Haywood County, Tennessee. Like most family histories, there are gaps, so I used my knowledge of the time and place to imagine Emma's transition from an enslaved girl to a free woman. Emma's bondage is an uncommon story. Even though Emma's father was enslaved, he had privileges on the plantation that few other enslaved people had, and those privileges extended to his wife and children. My great grandmother Emma grew up working in the home of John Bertie Moore and his wife, and Emma was well acquainted with the couple's privileged children, Joel, Sally, and John. Emma was a brave girl who lived in America during a painful period. I hope her legacy inspires readers to continue to stand up for what they believe is important. This is Emma at age 10. Okay, and there are slaves working in the cotton field. All right. Haywood County, Tennessee, 1858. Emma knew she was different. Other slaves worked master's fields, but she took pride in caring for his children. Her chores waited while she galloped stick ponies with young Master Joel and played dolls with his little sister Sally. Was this what freedom felt like, she wondered? When the tutor came to teach young Master Joel and Miss Sally, Mrs. Moore sent Emma back to her chores. But Emma listened in when Mrs. Moore wasn't looking and dared to dream. Teach me reading and writing, Emma whispered to young Master Joel one day after his lessons. Together, they traced forbidden letters in the dirt. Son, come inside now, Mrs. Moore called at the same time. Mother said, help me carry these pecans, child. Emma heard the echo of trouble between their words. You want a whipping from Master Moore? Mother whispered. Colored folks aren't supposed to read and write. You're old enough now to see the truth of it. Emma already knew the sorry truth. Freedom, reading, writing, three forbidden dreams. Master Moore whipped anyone who dared disobey, and then he sold their families to other plantations. Because Papa ran Master Moore's cotton plantation, Master never whipped or sold Papa's family. Emma knew she belonged to Master Moore, but Papa's position protected her. and Emma dared to help other slave children. When one slave girl broke Mrs. Moore's teacup, Emma took the blame. When Mother was allowed to take leftover pork from the white folks' kitchen, Emma shared her portion with the slave children who worked the fields. And she dared to ask young Master Joel to teach her to read and write again. "You know I can't, Emma," he whispered. "It ain't right," she said. By 1861, sounds of Civil War echoed in the sweltering air. North fought South, cannon fire shook the house, soldiers marched beside the Hatchie River as it crossed the plantation. "President Lincoln and the North gonna free us, child," Mother said to Emma. For 4 long years, Emma hid a handful of hope in her heart. Maybe a free girl could learn to read and write. When the South finally surrendered in 1865, the walls of slavery came tumbling down. Emma and her family were free at last. For the first time in their lives, they belonged to each other and no one else. Papa and Mother stayed to farm a plot of more land for pay. "It's all we know," Papa said. Emma grew taller as her family grew larger. She minded her younger brothers and sisters and fretted because the tutor never came to the farm anymore. Her dream of reading and writing withered. Instead, she told the children stories of heroes and sang songs of freedom to make them strong. One day, an army man named Sandy Wills came to ask Papa for a job. Emma followed this strong, handsome war hero with her eyes. More than once, she caught him peeping at her. They married in 1869, not in the field as most slaves used to, but in the white folks' house with Joel Moore's blessings. Emma's eyes sparkled. Sandy stood tall. White and colored guests celebrated the first official colored folks' marriage on the Moore plantation. Sandy signed his mark on the marriage license. They couldn't read it, but it was proof they were married. In 1870, Emma and Sandy started a family. She smiled to think their children would be born free. When baby William was born, Emma wished she could write his birthday in her family record book by herself, like the white folks did. Instead, she waited for Joel Moore to visit the farm. "My child will grow up knowing his birthday, sir," Emma said. "We all have birthdays," Joel Moore said. "Not us former slaves," Emma replied. "My son was born that many days ago." She pointed to the marks on the wall. 7 more children followed. Each time, Emma gave Joel Moore a pecan pie. "My children will grow up knowing their birthdays, sir." Each time, Emma watched him record a new birth in the book. She fought back tears because she couldn't write the names herself. Sometimes a teacher came by to teach Emma and Sandy's children. Emma's faded dream rebloomed for her children. But A few years later, in 1889, everything changed. Emma cried a year of tears, tears of sadness for the loss of her beloved Sandy, tears bitter and sweet for baby James born a month later, tears of worry for her 9 fatherless children. For the first time in her life, Emma felt helpless. Emma and her children kept farming, but they never had enough money after Sandy died. Some folks told her the government had set aside money for former soldiers and their families. Colored soldiers too? She wondered. She dared to apply. My Sandy fought for my freedom and for these United States, Emma said to Joe Moore the next time he visited the farm. Will you send the government his honorable army discharge? Emma waited and waited. Denied. The government replied because the discharge papers said Sandy's last name was Willis instead of Wills. Emma knew from experience that fighting for her rights would not be easy. She gathered her courage and tried again. Please send my marriage license, she told Joel Moore. Sandy signed it with his mark over 20 years ago. Emma waited and waited. Denied, the government replied, because the marriage license said Sandy's last name was Williams instead of Wills. I'm sorry, Emma, Joe Moore said. We've done all we can do. Emma hid her anger and frustration. There must be something more. The answer came to her as she hugged her family record book. Joe Moore, please send the government the birth records of my 9 children written in your fine hand, she said. They prove Sandy was their father. Emma waited and waited. Accepted. The government finally paid Emma money for Sandy's service. Her family was saved. I have honored your papa's memory and his service to the United States of America, Emma said to her children. Today, Emma died more than 100 years ago, but her dreams of reading and writing left an unforgettable mark on her family. I know, because I'm her great-great-great-granddaughter. Emma's children learned to read because of their mother. If I could give her one gift, I'd show her how to finally write her own name. That's the end of the story. And just some words from the author Cheryl Wills of a primary source. Primary sources are pieces of information like letters, photos, and documents created by someone who was part of a past event. Just like detectives, people can look at clues and evidence in these sources to better understand people and events long ago. To write this book, the author used primary sources to help her learn more about her family's life long ago. What primary sources have you read or looked at to learn more about your family's history? In what ways were the following primary sources useful in enabling the author to write this book? And at the end, she has some pictures of, this painting shows John Bertie Moore, the slave master who owned Emma and her family. And there's the painting. And this photo shows a slave's home from the same plantation that Emma and her family lived long ago. And this is the marriage certificate, which shows that Emma and Sandy were married on January 25th, 1869. And one thing that I love about this book is that at the end of the book, Cheryl Wills has a depth of knowledge discussion questions that you can ask your students after the read aloud, and there are activities that she has back here, and she also has a group activity, and there's a great glossary in the end. So these are the activities, this is the glossary, and I really love this book. Just a little synopsis about the book. So Cheryl Wills' love for her long lost great-great-great-grandmother, Emma Wills, is honored in this majestic story. This book is a treasure that Emma could not have ever imagined. Thanks to Cheryl's thorough genealogical research, Emma's legacy is with us forever. Each one of us should now find the Emmas in our very own families. And Cheryl Wills, she's on Instagram at Cheryl Wills NY1. Okay, and that's her card there. She works for New York 1. And I had the privilege of meeting her at the school where I work. And she's just a wonderful and warm person. And I really enjoyed this story, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. You can find this online, Emma by Cheryl Wills. Thank y'all for coming to my YouTube channel, Mrs. Leefatt Teach. Have a wonderful day.